Creativity in the age of AI. What to do when computers do everything. This is the slide that I made, and it's pretty good. I think it's decent. But this is the slide that Copilot made for me. And it's objectively better. It's pretty cool. So what do you do? What do you do when computers do everything? And not only do they do everything, but they do it smarter, better, faster, stronger. They can write, they can summarize, they can build spreadsheets. Let's talk about that. So we were gathered today to talk about creativity. Yay, creativity. And we've been doing a great job of that. But when I got asked to speak, I thought, it would probably be a little bit tone deaf to go the whole day celebrating human creativity without acknowledging that looming specter that is generative AI over the white collar jobs. That the blue collar job industry already had robots that could replace physical work come in and disrupt, and now we've got robots that can replace thinking, mental work coming in and disrupting white collar jobs. So straight away, the first thing I want to talk about is a paradigm shift. What is a paradigm shift? A paradigm shift is a major change in how people think and get things done. We're in a paradigm shift. So I defined the blue flag. Let's talk about this thing on the right. What is this red thing called? And everybody says, it's a car. 3, 2, 1. It's a car. No. Well, yes, but it's also a horseless carriage. A horseless carriage. A horseless carriage is an anachronism. It's something that's left over from a past era that doesn't quite fit in the present. It's a famous example of an anachronism, as well as a famous example of a paradigm shift. And I wanted to talk about it today because I want everybody to understand that change is messy and confusing while it's happening. You might think, well, it's not that complicated, Greg. They had a horse, and then they didn't have a horse. What's there to get wrong or to get confused? And standing in the future, looking back at the past when this paradigm shift happened, it might be easy to think, oh, how naive and cute it was that they couldn't understand that the horse wasn't important anymore. But for example, companies stuffed horse heads and stuffed them on the front of cars because I don't know that my consumer would feel comfortable buying without that familiar, the shape of the horse's head in front of me. Like, that's what they're going to need to feel comfortable buying my product. Or for many iterations of the interior of the car, it still had a whip holster that was part of the carriage. I don't know what they thought we were using those whips for, but they stayed along for a while. And ultimately, just that idea of a carriage without a horse requires you to be living in the past to immediately understand its context. And it is an anachronism, something outside of its time. So we've got this clown car built. Let's move forward back into the future where we get rid of some of that stuff and we understand that there's a lot of extra pieces to this term, and it's really just a car. So what's the lesson? Change is messy. We are going through unstable times, and the clown face kind of covers two things. You're going to look silly and feel silly going through this change, and people in the future are going to look back at this time and think how silly the things and the choices we couldn't see as obvious were. But ultimately, it's important that we embrace creativity. Why? Well, logically, in stable times, people rely on the manual because standardization wins. But in chaotic times, when the manual can't keep up because it was written for a world that no longer exists, when the manual has become an anachronism, it's important to understand that the old reliable ways of doing things have stopped being reliable. Well, when the manual doesn't tell you what to do, you throw it out and you get creative. Yay, creativity. But you might say, Greg, I'm not a creative person. I don't identify as creative. And when you start talking about creativity, it kind of loses me because that's just not what I do. All right, let's pretend I didn't say creative. Let's say be curious. You don't need to be some artistic genius to be able to ask important questions like, hey, what else could this thing do? So maybe I convinced you, yeah, we're in a paradigm shift. And it's important to understand that in a paradigm shift, the ways of doing things that everyone's come to rely on stop being reliable, and curious people adapt faster. So curious people are going to have an easier time. If I've convinced you, then at this point, the right question to be asking is, how do I make sure I'm the car and not the horse? Because the horse gets left behind. And the answer is, start using generative AI. It helps you go faster.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.